I think our capacity to ask what if is really important because it makes us think about some ridiculous and random ideas that can actually be the seed for how we start to shift our minds and how we can start to think about and I talk about what ifs in relation to like the future, how we can think about drastically new ideas of the kinds of futures that we will live in. And oftentimes we can't do that if we're just having, rational, thoughtful conversation. But if we give ourselves the space and the openness to ask these questions about, what if I zip line to school and what if there were we abandoned time zones and all of these questions, it actually works its way down into really tangible ways that we can act differently and that we can create different futures. No, I don't think that we are the flaw in the future. I mean, I spoke about it from a technological angle, but we can speak about it from a religious angle and in a lot of different ways about these stories that we tell ourselves. It just so happens that in the West we have progressed with this idea of progression, often based on technological progress. So I don't think so. I think we just need to have that balance, is that we can have these visions and stories and they can inspire us, but we can't be glued to one of them. We must be able to compare and contrast between different ideas of how things could be. I think it takes a layer of critical thinking. So it just gets back to how do you hold two conflicting ideas in your mind at the same time? If you see something and you are mesmerized by it and you love it and you want that to be the future that you work towards, fine, that's great, do that. But also try to see what would the exact opposite, and it doesn't have to be in a concrete way the opposite, but what would the opposite of that be like? And how could you still live a good life in that world? So if it's a technological future, maybe you think about a religious future and what would the implications of that be and how could I live in that world? And it's just being able to have this flexibility so that you're not this is the only way it could happen, because if that doesn't happen, then you can see that a lot of people can't move on from that. The advice that I would give is it's a little bit about ethnographic research. So I often, I work in design and futures, but I talk to people a lot. I don't come up with certain ideas with a closed group of these 4 people and we're all high-fiving each other and we think that it's great. I think if you have an idea, talk to, of course, the people that you are making the idea for, but then try to find other people at the margins, people that you would have never, like extreme users, sure, but also people that have nothing to do with that, and try to see, again, how can you challenge what you believe so strongly is the way to go. And I think that that's where we can start to have deeper, lasting impact and more interesting things surface, because I think we are hitting the wall now with how many chips we can put inside of things. And I'm not even going to talk about bigger things like, artificial intelligence and technological unemployment. I'm just talking about what I see in a lot of these hubs that I am a part of. I think maybe I come off critical, but I work with emerging technologies. I would say the majority of my work is about how do we work together with these technologies so we can aspire and we can have these even if it's technologically driven visions that we work towards. It's not that we can't aspire, but we need to do so with a less glamorous approach, honestly. We need to take some of the glamour out of how we package our ideas and try to understand those messy and uncomfortable details that sometimes get swept away because it doesn't make for nice conversations.